Hello, people out there, podcast world, cyber world, radio world. We got a wonderful show for you today. We know that Veterans Day is here and in the States, and those who are around the world know that like we celebrate our servicemen, those who are protecting the world. But more so, we got great artists such as the one that we're going to be talking to today, the solo artist, Brett Wayne Lee. Who is a pianist and also a guitarist who has left the Marines in 2008 to tour local pubs and clubs with a few rock and roll bands, and decided to go solo in 2020, who's been recently signed. He's going to be talking with us, chatting with us about so much. We already got a chance to connect on the other side. I think you're going to love him as much as I love him already. Do not go anywhere. I promise you, you're going to enjoy this particular episode. You are now in tune with your cousins, baby mama, favorite auntie, favorite DJ, the hottest podcast radio show in the country, in the world, on the universe. Let's get it. WTLB Digital Broadcast, Transform You Radio, Transform You Media Network, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's the kinetic energy, man. Kinetic energy, DJ Potential. Okay, this is DJ Potential on the Kinetic PE Mix Show with Brett. Hey, Brett, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about yourself. I already got a chance to kind of casually introduce you on the other side.
Thank you, Marcus. Hi, everyone. Brett Wayne Lee. I was born in Manchester. As Marcus kindly pointed out, I was a serviceman for a long time. Now I've decided to choose a different path. I'm now a singer-songwriter, and hoping to push my music career into the next direction. I was fortunately just signed with Animal Farm Studios in London, so thank you very much to them, and let's hope this is a good new career path for me. So thanks.
Yeah, excellent. When we think about like military service, and then we compare that with like that of like the music industry. It's all about choices, right? It's all about professional choices, and some say that like both like has its different challenges. Both requires you to kind of put yourself out there, and for you, how would you describe like what was the thought process into deciding to like rather than stay independent to sign with a label?
I think for me, because I was a serviceman, and a lot of people starting out in the career, they don't know, how do you go from soldier to singer? Maybe ask James Blunt. But for me, I didn't know anything about the industry. I used to sing with the boys. I learned whilst I was in the Corps, and I never got into that community of musicians. My family weren't really musicians. So for me to sign with a label instead of being independent was a stepping stone to knowledge, really. I needed somebody to guide me and to show me, look, this is the direction, what you need to do. And I'm still super new to the business, but I've learned so much in the last sort of 2 years that I've been working with sort of serious producers, that without going to a label, I don't think I could have made it. Doing YouTubes from my bedroom, I'm just not of that ilk.
That's one thing about us military, man, that like we recognize when we need a community around us, when we need like support around us, and when we need to follow a certain hierarchy, and when we need to fit into a system versus just trying to do it on our own. We're coachable, and and Marines, like you guys like one of the best of the best. So the work ethic that you bring it into what you're doing. You mentioned that you started off like just doing YouTube videos, like like what part of that are from like just doing the YouTube videos, like are you going to be missing? And will we still get some of that intimate performance like when you're doing shows?
Yeah, for sure. It's the studio, and they ask for this. They don't want you to give up that creativity. They don't want you to give up spontaneity. Look at all the big artists. They've all got Christmas Day YouTubes with the family singing around a $5.99 keyboard. This is good for the industry. It's good for that personal ability. I have never been a pop star. Let's get one thing straight. I don't know what being a pop star is like. It's not for me until I start selling millions. But what I do know is that whether I'm in a bar or a restaurant, if there's a piano, if there's a guitar, signed or no signed, I get up, I grab the guitar and I sing. I do this in all the bars I go to. Some people maybe don't want that, they're trying to sit me down, but I'm spontaneous. I think it's the Marines give you confidence for sure to perform. Mm-hmm. And whether I'm on YouTube, people writing in and asking for a track, and I'll learn it in 5 minutes and I'll play it and I'll sing it, and I have no problems if I make a mistake or it's not a professional edit. So I think when I get on stage, there's no silky smooth singing to a backing track. I do everything live. I sing, I play. I'm energetic, as you can imagine, on stage, and I think that comes across. It's an honest performance, and I think the audience realize that.
Now, for those who are listening and not able to see this, he definitely has the look to go along with his singing ability. So not only can he sing, he has the look too. So like the ladies are gonna eat you up. So yeah,
very kind, very kind.
Yeah. So what type of feedback have you gotten in the past or that you maybe still be getting, from some of your fans, or and some of the people who come across you for the first time?
It's good. Yeah, when you're in the Marines, you're playing to crowds a lot that are just 99.9% males in between sort of 20 and 50, and you know what that crowd want. You know what they like. They want to have a beer, they want to watch some guys sing some cool stuff, and play some classic rock and roll things, and then get off. That's what they want. But when you start to, when I left the Corps and I started to do bars and restaurants, and the dynamics, young children, it's old children, it's grandmas and granddads in the corner having half a bitter. You have to start thinking about your set a lot more, and this dynamic change. Who do you want to be? Who do you think they want to hear? And of course you can't please everybody, but for me, I realized when I was writing my own music, it's nothing like the rock and roll, hardcore 1990s type rock and roll that I've grown up with and loved. I found myself writing about my experiences, more ballads, more pianos work, acoustic sessions, and I think the creative really started to come out of me, and that's what my audience sort of like. And I've really diversified from that Oasis kind of Snow Patrol, Shed 7 to Brett Wayne Lee, which is more I guess embrace that kind of sound.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it's more at home for you, and it's more universal too. You can go anywhere with that, versus like like me myself as an artist, like I'm too ranchy right now. Like I definitely envy you right now. Like I definitely would like to get to where I can be more family friendly. So
yeah.
So
there's a little bit of rap on some of my tracks. I do a great scene with an R&B singer, a friend of mine, and she taught me into doing a 20-second sort of rap on one of my tracks. It's not out yet, but we've not done it in the studio. But it's a beautiful sound. But yeah, it's got that hit beat, and we put an almost DJ-esque sound over the top of it. But her voice is just amazing on the track, and yeah, she taught me into just a 20-second nugget of hip hop. So you know, whether it stays in the cut, I don't know. But yeah, you know, diversification is the word, I suppose.
That's good, man. And that again just speaks back to like that whole military, like, you know, like ability to like just you know to be able to like, you know, camouflage in any situation, you know. So, you know, like man, kudos to you, man. Like, you know, like you know, like a lot of people are gonna just fall in love with you as you continue to expand into different audiences, and like, you know, and speaking to like just the song that like the new song that you got coming out, how important it was, like, you know, to put a song out like this.
Yeah, so Move Close to Me, which is the first release, on the 25th of November. I'll just stick that plug right in there. So yeah, Move Close to Me was the track. It's one of the first piano ballads I'd wrote. So I think when you get that spark of inspiration from the very first time, it's usually special. So so we kept it, and of course we developed it a lot more in the studio. But it came from, you know, I unfortunately went through a divorce some time ago, 10 years ago now. But you know, when I started to write that song, which was literally that length of time ago, so many emotions and hurt and not finding, you know, the right person to go forward with in life, and thought, you know, things were looking bleak. And then I met my current wife, and just, you know, the inspiration flooded into me, and I decided that, you know, Move Close to Me was going to be about that first spontaneous meet when the person who you're probably going to spend the rest of your life with walks in the room unannounced and uninvited, and it's a eureka moment. And that's what you Move Close to Me was about. And I thought that the emotions that I piled into that really showed in the writing. And then when we took it to the studio, which was only recently, yeah, the studio were like, this is your first song for sure. And that's how it came out, and it is the first song. Yeah, so yeah.
I can't tell you how much that is relatable right now to so many men. You know, I mean, not only men, but, you know, a lot of women go through that, but like mostly men though. You know, you know, like that is just like so relevant right now. And when we think about the whole statistics of, like, you know, the idea of loneliness being on the rise, divorce rates are just skyrocketing, and many people are yearning for that one. You know, I think it's so timely. I think it's going to speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to cling to that. You know, I definitely, you know, I definitely going to appreciate that too. Yeah. So like, you know, in terms of who has influenced you to, you know, just become an artist, like, you know, over the years, who are some of your influences, or who are some of the people you had on the radio, you know, maybe growing up or like even now?
When it comes to the influence, there's a guy called Jeff Lobb, so I'll give him a plug. Great guitarist, Royal Marine Commander, of course, and he was my first inspiration. I think I wanted to as a kid, but you know, I joined the Marines at 17. I didn't really have time to do the band thing. I loved listening to the Stone Roses as a kid. That was my era. And when I joined the Marines, I always wanted to play. And then this guy called Jeff Lobb came along. He had a guitar. We were in Northern Ireland at the time on my first tour, and he just pulled out the guitar in one of the camps. There's no entertainment. We had no access really, no phones back then. No, couldn't go on YouTube. So he just pulled out the guitar in front of like 20 guys, and would just play, you know, Johnny Be Good and things like that. And we would just be in, you know, awe of this guy. He was my, you know, birthright into playing guitar. I was like, I want to play guitar, and he basically taught me. We had all the time in the world, you know, when you're not patrolling and, you know, in the thick of it, you're, as you well know, being a former soldier yourself, you know, war is 90% sitting around and 10% action. And yeah, so during the sitting around, he taught me the guitar. So it was a combination of, you know, that cool musical background that I had in Manchester at the time, 1990 to 1992, it's a magical time for music, and then having this live performance by this guy, that was it. That was, the stars collided, and I had to play guitar. And then much later in life I started to play piano, so, but the guitar definitely came first.
Yeah. So if you had to pick between the two, like, you know, like so would the guitar be the first love, or like, you know, or like
between, I've got two children, one came before the other, but would I pick which one now? No. That's like people asking me, like, you know, do you have a favorite child? I can't do that. Yeah, it's what mood you're in, isn't it? Sometimes you come home, you want to just, you know, get some rhythmic acoustic going, but you have a bad day in the office, life's not going so great, you turn to the black and white keys, don't you?
Exactly.
Maybe a small beer and then just let it come out somehow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great pianists, there's a lot of great guitarists. I mean, man, I can sit back and I can just like listen to Jimi Hendrix all day, or I can sit back and I can listen to like a lot of great pianists all day. Like, I mean, you know, like man, you know, like who are some of the great pianists that, like, you know, that come to mind? That you
people who influenced me, probably not classically trained, amazing pianos. I play by ear. I never had a day's, you know, lesson in my life. But people like Gavin DeGraw in America, he's a real sort of rock and roll-ish, you know, pianist. Plays a lot of moderate paced, easy to listen to, long ballads. The acoustic guitar over the top, that kind of layered sound is what I think I'm about as well. So yeah, I like Gavin DeGraw, but I love the greats. You know, I've seen Elton live. He's fantastic.
Yeah, Elton. Yeah, Elton is great. Yeah, and you know, and I love Freddie Mercury, man. You know, Freddie Mercury is definitely, you know, one of my favorites. I'm a Jerry Lewis guy. I definitely love Billy Joel. Little Richard, you can't forget about Little Richard.
Billy Joel, Freddie Mercury. I mean, I think everybody loves them for good reason. They are, you know, the greatest musicians ever to have lived and unfortunately left us. But yeah, I thought the Freddie Mercury movie is the best musical movie that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and then it's Paul McCartney. You know, Paul McCartney, he's from the iconic rock group of the Beatles. You know, and you know they're out of the UK. You know, so I mean, the UK has a lot of great.
Yeah, we do. I'm a massive Glastonbury fan, so
yeah.
I'm moving out into the Middle East, but you know, I used to go to Glastonbury every year. It's great value. You get to see, you know, 50, 60 bands in one weekend, you know, in the British rain, which is always fun.
Yeah, and you know, and even here in America, you know, some of the, you know, more contemporary ones, like you know, John Legend and Alicia Keys. These are phenomenal singers and pianists. You know, who, I mean, they're phenomenal. You know, like these people. You know, like, I mean, you know, so like if we fast forward, you know, to like, you know, maybe 10 years from now, like, and we think about you, you know, what would you like people to say about you? You know, like, what type of, you know, how would you like to be placed in, you know, amongst these people, like, you know, and how, you know, I mean, I know that's like a stretch to like kind of be thinking about, you know, but like, you know, I know it's a goal too, you know.
Yeah, making people happy when you're at a festival is just the best feeling. I actually got approached in a bar. I was sat in a bar in Dubai, and a guy came over. I was sat with my wife, and the rock and roll band that I'd been playing in at the time was called the 1990s, and a guy came over. He sat next to me and he said, "Hey man, you from England?" I said, "Yeah, I'm British." And he said, "There's a British band out here called the 1990s. They are amazing, rock and roll. You should go and see these." And the excitement and passion in his eyes said, "I'm the lead singer." He looked at me, "It's you!" That was it. I was singing rock and roll to him and all of his pub friends for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
So this is why we do it. He was just over the moon to have me there, and we just sang for out. And I had a guitar. I just grabbed the guitar. We were singing in the pub, for 2 hours. And that kind of, festival. Get up, get on stage. Everyone's happy, in a good mood. There's no work. I want people to remember that I was a really good performer. I think is the message that I try and leave nothing on stage. I leave nothing out there. Some of my tracks, as that you've heard, the vocals are super high, super low throughout. It's a real to be up there for an hour doing my kind of tracks is hard work on the voice. I can't do 2 nights back to back. It ruins me to do a full live performance. The high notes that you have to hit, you can't talk the next day. I want people to say he really puts the shift in. Like I was back in the Marines. He gets on stage and he really works hard for his audience, and I think that I'd like to be remembered for that hard-working singer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that connection. It really is about that connection and really like engaging with people and really giving them that emotion and I love that you really want to make people happy and really deliver that feeling that this guy he gave his all. He didn't come half-ass and show up because I used to have a first sergeant, that come around. You're like, Hart, what the hell are you doing? You're only putting 90% in. I need 100%. 90% is pretty good. I was like, hey, that's an A in high school. He's like, no, 100%. We need matter of fact, 120. Drop down, give me 20 right now. So I know what you mean, man, and that's what it's all about, and it's good. It's people like you who's definitely going to leave a mark on people. So when we talk about notable gigs in festivals, what's some of the ones that you remember, and especially being in Dubai, that's one hell of a place to be. Where everybody has a Lamborghini.
It's sort of my demographic. It's 30 to 50-year-old male guys, businessmen, and then either their wives, girlfriends. So it's sort of my audience. I'm used to that in the UK. People always say to me, "Oh, you're in Dubai, but it's the Middle East. What do people like out there?" I'm like, it's basically England in the sun. Sorry, my door just slammed over there. You can tell this is live. It's just like playing to exactly the same demographic of people I played to back home. And we filled the bars. You get 400 or 500 people in these bars. They couldn't let people in anymore because they tend not to get my kind of act in the region. So I'm not doing it for the money and the glory. I did it because I loved it. I just happened to be doing business out here. Before I was a singer-songwriter, and I was doing it because I had a passion for playing that kind of festival-esque live performing, piano, guitar, a few rock and roll tracks in between, and we tend to do very well here. So I think Dubai it's amazing, but I have played some bigger gigs. When I was back in England, I got to do a rugby stadium, and that was quite cool. So 5,000-6,000 people. I used to be a rugby player. I knew the guy who was doing the entertainment and bookings, and he booked me. He was like, you used to play rugby with me. yeah, I'll book you, and yeah, I ended up playing to 5,000 people that day. So yeah, I've been fortunate, with the core, with sort of my rugby, with people in business. I tend to get hired because people know me, not because people
Right.
don't know me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's always great. One thing I remember, being on deployment is like these these uh, these performances we used to have like on base. So like you had the opportunity to do some performances on military bases. Can you share a little bit of some of those experiences?
Yeah. Again, when you're when you're in the Corps and they put you in a base and loads of bored guys in one space, then the guy who can perform gets shoved to the front. That's how it is. We want to be entertained. Who can sing? Oh, Brett sings. Bring him over here. Get him a guitar. You're playing in 1 hour on that stage, and there's like 10,000 people going to be there. What? Whoa, 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 whoa. I haven't practiced anything. What do you mean I'm playing? Yeah, you're number one on the bill. We actually had we had the band. I don't know if you remember the ABBA band Bjorn Again. They came into BBK. It was on my one of my second tours of Ireland, and they came in to entertain all the troops. But this isn't just a Marine thing. This is a massive base. It's full of Army, RAF. It's guys, it's girls, it's captains, it's corporals, it's soldiers, it's private. It's a massive base. And Bjorn Again were coming at like 9 o'clock. So they were like, okay, everyone's getting restless. You're going on stage 8 till 9 and warm up the crowd. So yeah, I was just flung in front of half of the British regiment. Guitar and a couple of my mates doing back in, and so we did an hour, and they didn't want Bjorn Again to come on. They were like, no, we've got this massive sing-song going on, and yeah, so Bjorn Again came on, and they were great, of course. And when they left, they were like, oh, should we do an encore? And they were like, no, we want Brett to go back on for another hour after you finish. It was like a massive gig, but yeah, very impromptu. So good times. How do you explain to the average person you just did a 10,000 person gig with no warm up?
Yeah, it is like. I imagine that's like almost like performing in front of peers, but not. Did you get that feeling?
Yeah, a little bit, I think, but it's one of those things, isn't it? As military guys, we're just chameleons. We're adaptable to, whatever you throw at us. And you want me to be a pop star? Okay, I'll go and be a pop star. And then come off, grab your gun, get straight back out to work the next day. Just people giggling when you're on patrol. I saw you on stage, man. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. All right, man. So, like, you with this upcoming, with this upcoming, single, do you feel like this particular single is going to be the one that kind of like people can go to can really get an understanding of you as an artist? Or do you feel like there is maybe another one that can really people can go, you can direct people to and say like, okay, if you really want to see what my range is as an artist, maybe check this one out.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's definitely the right choice. The reason I say that is because when I sent tracks away to studios and got nothing coming back, like everybody who tries to be an artist, it's so hard to try and get your foot in the door, as we say. It was the 30-second start to Move Close to Me that got me noticed. So if it did the right thing with the studios, they get 10,000 tracks a month sent in to them, and they don't listen to it for more than 30 seconds. If any artists out there listening, you've got basically 30 seconds. So if your intro's 15, shorten it, because no one's going to listen to you for the other 25 minutes of your guitar solo. It's not going to work. So you have to grab people in that first 30. So if you listen to the first 30, and hopefully your listeners will listen to the first 30 seconds of Move Close to Me, just go to brettwayne.com and listen to it there. Brettwaynelee.com. forgetting my own name, then yeah, I think they'll get it in the first 30. It's got harmony, it's got memorability, recognizability, understand what the song's about very quickly, and it shows the range and a bit of piano in there. So I think it grabs you. Yeah, I think it's the right track.
Nice. So like just looking ahead, do we expect any other upcoming event or any other upcoming performances?
So what we're going to do, I'm still doing some, bars, pubs and clubs whilst I'm out here in the UAE, but we're trying to build, a fan base to listen to all of my tracks. The releases are going to come pretty thick and fast in the hope that people will be familiar with them come next summer when festival season comes around. So Move Close to Me comes out in November 25th. Then No Rules is going to be released in December. I've got a track which is a tribute to Chuck Berry, which is very different to the first two releases. It's like a real rock and roll track. That's coming out sort of under January, which is 18th of January when Chuck Berry died. So that's sort of tying in with that. And then we've got Solo, which comes out after that, 1 month later. So we're already 4 or 5 tracks in. As I said, this R&B track that is coming in after that. Well, I say it's R&B, it's piano ballad, but it's got these elements of R&B with some of the great artists that I've been working with over the past 12 months. So I think by sort of March, April, if people are listening to my stuff, then they'll be quite familiar with the difference in sound. They'll be hopefully singing along to my tracks, and then we'll be ready to start, touring festivals or taking invites. From sort of June, July on next year. If you don't see me on a few stages, then I'd be disappointed.
Okay. I'll be on the lookout. I'm definitely going. I want to get that experience. Now, one thing about you is that like you got a lot of quotes that you live by in life. You mind sharing some of those quotes, or one of them?
Yeah. So I think the biggest quote that I hold dear is "Mens sana in corpore sano," which is a military quote that we have that means strength in mind and body, and this is something that's really key to my my whole aura. I've held it dear as a Marine, as a father, as a student of life. That you have to be strong both in body is one thing, but you have to have a really healthy mind as well. And I'm a real sort of advocate for PTSD charities, because that sort of damage of the mind with modern warfare is something that I hold really close to my heart. So much so that proceeds from No Rules, which is one of my military songs, is going to PTSD charities and causes. So that's of course tattooed on my arm. I live by that sword. But I think when they was asking me about the album name, and I was thinking of what quotes I like, and I think as a Marine, I always use the phrase "always go through and never around," and I think that's that uncompromising sort of attitude that I've always had.
Yeah, I love that, and I think the music itself is like definitely a good therapy for anyone going through PTSD and recovering and on this recovery journey, and that quote is definitely powerful, man. I commend you for being an advocate for PTSD and letting our brothers and sisters know that they're not alone, and that they can find good times in all of this muddle of the modern warfare that that we all gotta be constantly exposed to, because although we leave the trauma, there's still other traumas that we gotta continue to fight through, and there's constant battles that we gotta continue to fight and be strong for. And being a father in itself is a battle. Oh my God, man! Imagine those little wars.
Yeah, it's trying.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely inspired by you, Brett, and there's gonna be a lot of other people, that listen to this that's gonna be inspired by you as well. Uh, this is incredible, Brett. Like, yeah, yeah. I mean, just for people who may be on the borderline of like just, like, hey, should I stay independent or should I sign with a label? Because like there's these different things that people like struggle with, like, in their careers, for like, what they should do. What advice would you give those people?
I think what I've learned in the sort of last, like I say, 12 months, 2 years, um, you've really got to pitch what your skill set is, and don't pay for things that you can do yourself. If you
Hmm.
are a DJ and you're particularly good at production, then do everything in your bedroom, do everything on your DJ set, and only pay to market that material into the right areas. Some well spent money in marketing is, it's money well spent, as they say. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. I think Steve Jobs said, "Give me a good idea and a good marketing company, and I'll take on the world." That is how it should be. But for me, that I can use basic garage band and things like this and do a little bit of mixing. But to get quality records of radio quality, you can't do it in your bedroom without being that kind of technically gifted person, which I'm unfortunately not. So I needed that support. I needed that network, and it doesn't mean that if you sign, it's not Sony Records don't come up and say, "Here, have $1 million, you're signed." There's lots of different agreements out there, and you've got to really look through the small print of what you're being offered and make sure that you're being valued, because you can get a shared agreement where you will pay towards some of the fees, and then they will pay towards the marketing. You'll pay for the production time, so they're not 100% risk, you're not 100% risk, and there's this 50-50 ratio. So there's lots of deals that people getting into the game could benefit from that. I didn't know. I was trying to get labels to listen to me, sending it, even paying people to at least listen to it, and there's lots of ways, and unfortunately there's a lot of bad ways out there, and you've got to really be careful of people promising you a radio distribution or a deal or I will sign you for the. It's very cutthroat. So look at the reviews of people, look at the industry record that they hold, who do they have as an artist, and start to say, is this the kind of people I want to manage me? And then have that conversation. And don't just get managed, don't just manage yourself, try and find that sort of middle ground.
That's excellent, man. That's real good advice, and I'm going to co-sign that. So yeah. So thank you so much for giving that good wisdom, because we get tons of artists that, like, a lot of up and coming artists and a lot of new artists that listen in on this, and that advice is vital. Thank you so much for that. Well respected. Uh, so I know we cover so much here in this little time, and is there anything else that, like, any final words or anything else that you would like to put out there that, like, maybe we didn't get a chance to touch on, or anything like that?
I'd like people to go ahead and listen. I think if they take one thing away from here is, please go to my website, have a look. And the record's going to be coming out on the 25th, so download it, share it, please. Shameless plugs are fine, but yeah, go to brettwaynelee.com and check out my stuff, and hopefully you like it. I have chat forums on my YouTube, my Facebook channel, my Insta. People want to hit me up and say, look, I heard you with Marcus Hart. Can you help me? Send me a DM and I will respond. This is a two-way thing that I want my fans to speak to me, and I want to speak to them in reply.
Indeed. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And those out there who listen or watching it, So do us a solid. Again, that website is redwaynelee.com. We will have that website in the playback of this particular episode. You can find it in the episode description of the playback. You'll find it everywhere that we're doing promo at for this episode. Do us a favor right now. Play this episode back a couple of times. Share it with someone you know, someone you don't know, as it does help to further the messaging, as well as to help to support Brett in all that he's doing. We definitely want to continue to encourage Brett and support Brett he's a cool person, man. Brett is awesome, man. So you heard for yourself, especially if you made it this far. He is one of a kind, and we definitely want to support the new EP that's coming out on the 25th. Grab that, download that, and do the same thing that I just told you. Share it. Share. It does help. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this particular this podcast, this radio show, and leave a review, leave comments. And if you are trying to get in contact with Brett and you're still kind of lost in the sauce, I will direct you to the right place. Until next time, I'm your host, DJ Potential, aka Marcus Hart. Many blessings, peace, and lots of love. That is all I have for you today.